Hello everyone, we're back again with another video. This is just a quick one. I wanted to come in and talk to you guys about something that I think is incredibly important for people to understand about carbohydrates. This was actually brought to my attention a while back by Jim. I will not say the last name because I do not know if he would like me to do such a thing. So Jim. He actually emailed me a while back in December before Christmas, and he sent me a PDF file from the ADA. And this file is all about the dietary reference intakes for energy, carbohydrate, fiber, fat, fatty acids, cholesterol, protein, and amino acids from 2005. This is basically where all of our RDAs, our daily reference intakes, come from. And as the title suggests, they list how they came to their conclusions for the dietary reference intakes for fiber, fat, fatty acids, as if those are different anyway, and for energy, because you can totally consume energy, right, etc., etc. However, what's more interesting about this PDF is the carbohydrate section, and that's chapter 6. So it starts on page, I don't know, 260 something. Let's go ahead and go to that. So dietary carbohydrates, sugars, and starches. So everything when you're reading this is pretty straightforward. It's pretty correct. That's what makes these lies so dangerous, is most of them are actually built on an element of truth. But the part that's really concerning here is the part on 275. Clinical effects of inadequate intake. And again, before I even get into this, this is all Jim's credit. It's all to his credit, because I wouldn't have read through this. The reason that Jim sent this to me was because he said he was making a parody of the ADA website called the Always Diabetic Association. I will be sure to alert people of when that's released, because I don't believe that it is yet. But he was going to go through all of the ADA's work so that he could basically make a parody of it. Pretty self-explanatory. But he came across this. The lower limit of dietary carbohydrate compatible with life apparently is 0, provided that adequate amounts of protein and fat are consumed. However, the amount of dietary carbohydrate that provides for optimal health in humans is unknown. Right, so in the beginning, they say something that we've been saying this entire time, which is there is not 1 gram of exogenous glucose required for human life. But what they then go on to say is this doesn't mean that there isn't a benefit that you can yield from consuming more than 0. Technically correct. Technically correct. We understand that. The problem is that they said it is unknown because they cannot assess whether it is beneficial or not. And in fact, from every other inference that we have, we can say that it's not beneficial at all. We absolutely know that glucose above a certain physiological concentration within the bloodstream is harmful. 100%. We know that. So we know all these inferences about the fact that it's involved in the formation of advanced glycation end products. It has a negative impact from most people's perspectives on insulin responses, because no one really wants to gain a lot of fat, right? But there's no proven benefits, so why would you consume it? It's basically the conclusion we draw. But there's something a little more problematic here, okay? Because this wouldn't really warrant that much of a video. There's another problem here. Take a look at this table here, table 6.6, direct estimates of glucose utilization by measuring brain glucose consumption. Basically, they took a group of people, you've got infants here and children, and then adults, and they measured in all of these people the glucose consumption in millimoles per 100 grams of the brain per minute. And they used this, they basically measured how much glucose the brain was utilizing to determine how much glucose that they should consume. In fact, right here, it says, in the absence of carbohydrate in the diet, and in the absence of a rise in keto acids above the overnight fasting reference range, ingested protein sufficient to provide the brain with glucose fuel is theoretically possible, but it is not likely to be acceptable. The amount of dietary protein required approaches the theoretical maximum rate of gluconeogenesis from amino acids in the liver, 135 grams of glucose per 24 hours. In summary, the estimated average requirement for total carbohydrate is set at 100 grams per day. This amount should be sufficient to fuel central nervous system cells without having to rely on a partial replacement of glucose by keto acids. Basically, what this is saying is that the RDAs for carbohydrates were determined by seeing how much glucose was utilized by the brain in adults, infants, and children, while admitting that you do not need to consume the glucose to reach those demands. They said it is not likely acceptable. That's their opinion. So why is this important? Because not only did they assess that, oh, we need purportedly 100 grams of exogenous glucose in our diet a day, carbohydrates, to subserve the brain's needs, they multiplied it by about 2.7 or so, to get what's the current daily value for carbohydrates. Just in case. That's actually their argument later in the paper. Just in case that's too little. Why is this a problem? Dietitians' most common point that they talk about is that the brain needs hundreds of grams of glucose a day to function. First of all, according to this, that's not true. You need on average about 100 grams a day. day. But not only that, this is what's taught by the American Diabetes Association, which is what they get most of their information from in the Dietetics Association. It's directly tied with the American Diabetes Association. But in the American Diabetes Association's own paper from 2005, they admit that you do not need carbohydrates exogenously introduced to serve the needs for a human being. This is a gold mine in a way. So I thanked Jim for that, and you guys should as well for sending this to me, because I would not have actually seen this, but it deserves a video. People need to understand this is where this entire myth that we need hundreds of grams of carbohydrates comes from. A paper that admits that you don't. So just want to throw that out there. And so anytime that you hear another dietitian claiming that you need, I don't know, 6 slices of bread for your brain to function properly, or an entire bowl of pasta, multiple bowls of pasta, you can point them here and say, well, this is according to the American Diabetes Association, because I know how much you love appealing to authority. So I'll link the paper in the description below, and hopefully you can teach some people some things. So see you in the next one.